My name is Jess Clarke. I'm a footballer, an ex-Lioness. I first began working with ActivKids, especially the early stages. I absolutely loved it. It was absolutely brilliant just working with young people. The whole organisation, the values, the principles behind it, I just thought was really, really good. And it was quite congruent with what I wanted to do as well. Now able to impact even more young people on a bigger scale. So it's really pleasing and it's really, really rewarding as well.
What's your favourite part of actually doing ActivKids?
For me, it's just seeing the kids, the kids getting involved in the activities, the smiles on the faces, is something that I'd never ever get bored of. Seeing these little small milestones as well in young people give a great experience to young people and the school and the community as well, because it's far reaching than just the school.
Do you do anything outside of ActivKids?
So I've just set up my own initiative. It's called the JCI. The reason why I've set that up is through lived experiences. I've faced kind of a lot of adversities, boundaries myself, and just going back to that point that we just touched on about impacting and influencing people's lives. I want to use football as a vehicle of empowerment.
ActivKids are using their community reach out better.
Yeah, certainly. I think when I first was introduced to Nathan, I remember him saying he was at the infancy of beginning ActivKids, and I think now just to see his journey and to see how much the team's expanded, it's now far reaching into the communities, which is great. And I know we've offered some services in the community, and hopefully we can broaden that spectrum of impacting more people. So community engagement, providing alternative services and using the athletes as a vehicle of empowerment is, it's a great thing.
Really inspired you to be where you are today?
For me, it was my mum, I think, and the reason being is because my mum faced a lot of boundaries, adversities, and more so financial boundaries. Set that example for me, and inherently I've learned some of them ethics and morals and values that now I lean on.
Do you feel like a lot of her attitudes you now reflect on, teaching the kids in that way?
Yeah, and I think a lot of the behaviours as well, so being able to cope, so coping mechanisms. I always say motivation and inspiration are two different things. So motivation can be, the driver, you want to get out of the circumstances, and then the inspiration is something that you do for free. It's something that you love, and I was able to use that as a driver and then football as the inspiration. So I was able to synergise and converge the two. Obviously there's been coaches, managers along the way that have also played a massive, and teachers, should I say. That's another reason why I love going into schools, because my school teacher, if it wasn't for her kindness and willingness, I probably wouldn't have pursued a path in football, because she organised all my trials and she drove me there.
They can lean on their teachers a lot more than they think they can.
Yeah, and when I do the appearances and the fundraisers, I always, through some of my own experiences, using the principles of ActivKids, I always share that message, and I always share, some of the skills that can be really valuable to help them cope with, emotional irregulation, and techniques, how they can help regulate the thoughts to put themselves in a better position to propel and be successful and just fulfill their own potential, really, because we all know we all face external boundaries, but most of all we face the internal boundaries the most every single day, because you wake up with yourself every day, so you've got to hold yourself accountable, and it's a really powerful message to send out to these young people to help them.
So what's your favourite football trick?
Favourite football trick, I would say, is around the world, because I've worked so hard to master it. When I finally did it, I just remember being just so overwhelmed with happiness.
What was your favourite goal?
My favourite goal that I remember scoring was when I was playing for Notts County, and I'd come on the inside and it was on my left foot, and I just struck it and it just went into the top corner. And the reason why that was my favourite goal is because I scored it with my left foot. However, I'm not left-footed, I'm right-footed.
No.
And for a whole period of a pre-season, I've worked really closely with a forwards coach, and he made such a profound difference in my technique, and it was just nice to see all that hard work come to fruition.
Who has been your favourite famous person or footballer that you've met?
I've been really lucky to meet a lot of inspirational people, kind of the football side of things, like David Beckham. I remember meeting him for the first time, and I don't really, when I'm around people that are quite inspiring people, I feel okay, but on this one occasion, my words just choked. I tried to introduce myself, and it didn't sound like Jess, put it that way. And I'd also say Kelly Holmes, I think she was a really inspiring person to me. I think she came in and did a talk with us, and it was really nice to hear some of the boundaries that she faced, because it was quite relatable.
If you didn't do football, what sport do you reckon you'd be second best at?
In school, I was all-rounded. I could have played absolutely anything. So I loved basketball. So I would probably say that was my second option, basketball, because I was quite quick, nimble, and opportunities to score, great. It's quite nice. I was always good going forward, probably why I'm a forward in football.
If you could name a new exercise, what would you call it?
Probably the game changer.
Game changer.
Yeah, I think I quite like that, because you can apply it to anything in life, I think. So just kind of like setting that boundary of, not a boundary, but it's that next progression, sorry. So the next progression to hit the next level. So yeah, I'd call it the game changer. And I'd probably say if I was doing a drill or a circuit, I'd put it right at the end, because then it's kind of like to say, well done, you've achieved.
Just any advice you got for either kids or maybe other schools wanting to get kids more active, or parents at home?
All I would say is just be open-minded, be curious, and more importantly, just come out of your comfort zone. And I always say to the kids when I go into the school, I always say just embrace your uniqueness, because I think sometimes intrinsically we put these barriers up of ourselves because we have a persona that other people might be watching us or laughing at us. However, I always say if I didn't embrace my uniqueness as Jess, when I went to school, I acted different because I played football, which was kind of then, women's football was not really discussed that much. And I also looked different as well. But if I didn't continue to embrace my uniqueness, I probably wouldn't have gone on to have the career that I had. So I always send the message, just be you, because you just don't know who you might impact or inspire.